Test, test. Okay, everybody's got the mics on? All right. Please bring 2 batteries for yours, Kurt. Okay. Okay, everything's up and live. Okay, for the workshop, everybody, I'd ask for 2 recommendations from each person that, turn this down. Two suggestions or goals you feel that we could work on for the town. For 2024. And I gave you a sheet so you can take notes of what everybody's suggestions. And please, everybody, make sure your microphone is close enough so people out there in TV land can hear you. I'm just waiting until Kirk is up and live. Okay. George has a quick question for you. Okay, and the sheets, so you can keep track of what everybody suggests. I start at the far end of the table there with Kirk. So,
All right.
go ahead, Kirk. Now remember, we're just listing things.
Yeah.
No, not poo-pooing anything. Some of these items we may be able to combine. It might be too different, but very similar insofar as the relationship of what we can accomplish with them. So we might combine 2 suggestions.
Okay. The one I would like to see, it seems to be stalled for quite a while now, is the Hemlock Ridge Solar. If that's being installed on because of the town, I'd like to find out why and see what the remedy is and move along with it.
Okay.
And the other one is the water, which appointed me to help you out with that. All our dead ends and
Water. Yep.
which we had 2 meetings last week. I thought went very well.
I couldn't quite hear you that last
I
part.
said we had the 2 meetings last week.
Yep.
I thought went well. We're waiting for a response. So that's my 2.
Okay. Dave.
Well, a real plan for the park. Actually, what we're doing, where, when,
Talking about long range?
long range, we've had some proposals, an actual real plan, and then action on that plan, at least a start. And maybe complete the electric if needed so far. I know we were waiting for a lot of supplies for the electric. I don't even know if the box is
The box came in last week finally.
Okay.
Finally came in.
So at least we can get it down to the box and then go from there, because we need power no matter what we do down there.
Yep.
And second for me was just Water District 10. Yes or no? Let's put this to bed or move forward. We gotta really decide, what we're doing.
Okay. Margaret?
Well, I think that we should add a third mowing from spring to fall somewhere, if that's possible. Sometimes that grass grows pretty high, pretty fast. And I just was wondering why we don't paint the town roads, the lines on the town roads. I think it makes it a lot easier to see at night.
Okay. Mine you have on there. The fee schedule. Been struggling with this for over a year. We got numbers from other towns, from the planning board, the zoning board, the CEO. Got a bunch of different numbers. We just have never been able to sit down and complete a town fee schedule for everything that we charge on. So like for me, I put down water, the park, building code fees. It could be how much we charge for marriage licenses, death certificates, etc. Those are out of Maureen's office. So I'd like to spend some time and finally wrap up our fee schedule for the town. The other part is, and this is something I've been trying to push, but COVID really put a kibosh on it, and that is the expansion of water districts. Not just Water District 10, but other water districts as well. One of the meetings that Kirk was alluding to from last week was having a water district, one final water district, but it would be in phases. So we would get approved for it, but you do part of it in 1 year, another part the following year, and then the final part the third year. The one that I am pushing for right now that should be the easiest, and it takes, from the time you start the paperwork until it finally goes in the ground, it takes 2 years with all the approvals you have to get from everybody. That's why I don't like having to give up on Water District 10 as such right now, because if we had to start over again, it's going to be another 2 years into it, and tens of thousands of dollars we got to spend again for everything. But we got to find a way of cutting down the cost. I did receive last night an email from another department out of Albany that was passed. They passed it from one office. This gentleman I had mentioned at last week's meeting has passed it on to the health department, the state health department. So now we've got them, and we're looking at setting up a meeting next week with Kirk, Bridget, and myself where we can talk about Water District 10 and see what the state can do to assist us with the cost of that water district. So hopefully we're going to get some movement on that. But it's the expansion of the water districts, and the one that I'm looking at right now, they'll take about 2 years, is White City, south end of 98, south end of Burns, and the south end of Crane, where they would become out-of-district users, where they would get their water from Genesee County. Those 4 areas are too far away for us to run water lines down there. It would be very cost prohibitive. You think it's expensive? The debt service in Water District 10 would be even higher if we were to run a water line all the way down to those 4 areas. But we could get them water out of Genesee County. We just have to put the infrastructure in. So that would be one phase of this water district. So that's just an example there. Okay, and then George.
Okay, well, I think we got our priority, because that was mine, was Water District 10, and trying to lower the cost and get this done. And second one was to look at expenses and get their well, taxes cut expenses, that's all the same, but also in line with bringing our employees and everything up to where we are in Orleans County. You know, we don't want to be the highest, but we don't want to be the lowest either. And get that all set so we can get back to where we should be.
That's 2 parts. You're talking payroll and expenses. Okay.
Are we going to talk about Water District? Because I just got a few little things that I did find out. I made some calls on Water District, trying to get some pricing out. So Bethany's in the news all the time with, you know, their water shortage. And I thought, if anybody, you know, with all the publicity we're getting right now, if anybody knows about putting in water districts in the urgency, you know, I called them. I got the supervisor. He said that they are, you know, because of the media, because of what they're getting, you know, that they're are applying for grants that they didn't get before. And there was one that he told me about, that if you do the median income for the water district, where the USDA is normally 50%, if their median income falls below a certain level, you're looking at 75%. That would make the whole difference right there. I don't know where we are with their, you know.
Well, we did an income survey on Water District 10, and it was just slightly below the poverty level for the income over there. So that gave us the lower interest rate. It was almost 2% less than the interest rate.
But he's saying that they have some kind of USDA grant now that would do 75% for that.
Do you have a name for that?
So he started to. Eric Joyce, he gave me that. And then he said, you know what? Forget all that stuff. He goes, you need to call.
Eric Joyce at RD in Batavia.
Yeah.
Okay.
He said, what you want to do is there's called Municipal Solutions. It's a grant writer. Jeff Smith.
Yep.
He goes,
I know him.
You contact him and hire, and he'll get find you all the grants, all the money, lower your costs. Okay, great.
So it's under, well, obviously under poverty, it should qualify.
Right.
And they pay up to 75% of the cost.
75%.
Wow.
Which would, that would make all the difference. I mean, if they did 75, we'd have the prices down low enough that we could move this thing right through.
Now, the one thing that I have been told by 2 different engineers is that if we get additional grant money, that RD will take money away from it or even pull out the whole project. So we got to watch. We got to walk a fine line. We might have to say goodbye to RD altogether then. That's what we wanted to do. That's why we're talking to the state to see if the state can, hey, you know, give them a break.
He said that Jeff Smith is.
Jeff's good.
So,
yeah.
Maybe we ought to just.
His office is down in Leroy.
Yeah. He's got Leroy, Batavia, Canada.
Yeah. But Jeff, yeah. Yeah, he handles a lot of stuff for us in our water districts now.
What's his name again?
Jeff?
Smith.
I also talked, I got it, he's in my phone already. Jay Grasso there, I've asked him about taking a look at grants that we could possibly get. I've also asked the grant writers at both MRB and at Labella to see what they can possibly find out for us as well. That's good. I never even thought about Jeff, but I'll contact him. Okay, so let's take a look at our list. Want a copy, Dale? No. But we're just ideas we're just throwing out there. And for Kirk, he had number 1, Hemlock Ridge Solar, and number 2, water. Dave had long and short range park plan and water district 10. Margaret had a third mowing and painting the town roads. You see mine right there. Okay, we flip the page. George got water district number 10. And then he'd also like to look at expenses and payroll. Expenses. Okay. So 3 out of 5 people were talking about water. I'm sorry, 4 out of 5. I forgot myself. 4 out of 5 people were talking about water, so I would dare say that our priority list, number 1, would be water. That one, that one, that one, and that one. Now, underwater, we'll break that down more as we look at it because, yeah, the priority right now is Water District 10, but then expanding to get water to the rest of the municipality would be great. Well, I'm pretty sure nobody's wells running dry right now. Okay, so let's take a look at the other ones. Ones that we as a town can really work on. Discussion on the remaining topics. What one do you think we should take a look at next?
Well, Sean, fill us in on Hemlock Ridge.
Hemlock Ridge right now is in a stalemate, but that's primarily because of the 3 school districts involved: Oakfield, Medina, and Albion. Albion has got the biggest share of that. And so the stalemate is how much money they want to get from the project. I myself and Scott, the supervisor from the town of Shelby, we're in agreement that we would like to get 50% of whatever the money is that, I mean, we've agreed on a cost, but it's been so long now, I can't remember what the cost is per megawatt. But we've all agreed on that already, and so has the developer. But it's how it's getting broken down between the taxing jurisdictions. So you've got the 3 school districts, you've got the county, and then you've got the two towns. So that's how it's being broken down. The two towns are standing pretty much arm in arm. We'd be willing right now to go to 45%. We'd be willing right now to go to 45%. And that's an offer I've thrown out there.
And they know that.
They know that. And they're still saying, no, they want 50%. Well, they want the 50, and the county wants that 50. We wouldn't get. I got those numbers all wrong.
It's in negotiation.
It's in negotiations.
That's
It's
the
definitely
leader
the
right there.
easiest part right now. Bridget and I have talked about it. We're going to set up a meeting with Kathy Bennett, Shelby's town attorney, and Scott, the four of us, so we can sit down and talk about this. The attorney for the 3 school districts, we've had a little talk with him, and I've spoke with the developer. And the developer, that's right, they want us to take 40%. And they want to take 60. That's what it was. Those taxing jurisdictions want 60. They're telling us 40. We're willing to go to 45, even though I've been pushing for 50 all along. But we're willing to settle for a 45%. But they're not budging off that 60% that they want. The school districts would like to go pro rata, which means they're the highest taxing entities. Therefore, they'd get the lion's share of all the money. We'd get like 10 or 12% because we're the smallest taxing entity. The county falls in between. So that's a big no. As far as I'm concerned, the project can go bye-bye. So that's what we're trying to work on. Why the schools are playing hardball, I don't know. I mean, especially like Albion, what they got 6-7 million sitting there in the coffers. They just got their hands slapped for having that extra money. How much? 17 million? Wow, a lot more than I thought. So, I'm sorry, the two towns don't bring that much money in that would help with our taxes. And that's what we're looking at, is how we can kind of help our residents in our towns with their taxes. So it is, like George said, it's in negotiations right now. We're going to try and get things rolling now that 24 is here. See what we can do.
Developer said anything like, well, there's a deadline of X or
No.
anything like that?
Developer has called me. He's trying to get me to accept their offer just so they can get the project rolling. And I've said no to them. No. The school district feel that it's infringing, not infringing, what's the word he used? It's kind of like a hardship to the school district. Well, come on, it's coming in our towns. I mean, 84% of it is going to be in Barry and the other 16% in Shelby. So who has the hardship? So schools can, never mind, I'm not going to say. So that's where we are with Hemlock Ridge Solar at this time, Kurt. It is in negotiations. We're going to get things rolling again here. And
Well, I
I've
would like-
avoided going to the EDA meetings because they haven't taken a lead in this. But I think I might have to go have a little talk with them at their next meeting.
I would like to go.
Now, as Dave pointed out, the long and short range park plan, we just had a little meeting. It was a water meeting, but then he went off to the side a little bit on the park and just talked about that at this time. Go ahead, Dale. No.
Pretty much waiting for Jason to give us a footprint of the new playground. Whole layout for the whole park for the future.
Did you get, he was asking for dimensions. Were you able to find paperwork to show the dimensions for that equipment? Okay,
Not-
okay. So yeah, basically it falls back to Jason. It doesn't mean you have to sit back and wait for him. You can, hey Jason, how's it going?
Yeah, we gotta, once the electric's in, and you got some of the equipment in the other day,
The
right?
meter channel did come in,
Finally.
but there again, that's warm weather, to put that the wire in.
But at
know,
least
that-
you got it.
That wire is huge. You're not gonna pull it in both ways. Not without breaking things.
So at least once we get that in summer or spring.
Yep.
Then we move forward at least what the next plan is.
And hopefully we'll have by the end of the year, feedback at the town.
Okay, and then Margaret, third mowing.
What third mowing? What do we? Roadside, you mean? Okay. No, we mow 3 times. Yes.
They just don't like your neighborhood.
We have so many miles that it takes us a long time to get around. Give me a call. Let me know where they are. I mean, if we got to go out with a little mower and knock the corners down or something. But, no, we mow 3. Sometimes all depends on the season. Sometimes we mow a 4th time. A quick top pass. No.
And then she also had about painting the town roads.
Striping center line? It's an added cost for one. Something else that we'd have to maintain is once you start, you got to maintain them. And it's almost a paint job every other year. It's not cheap. They've been that way for how long? County roads have stripes. We do not. Not ours. No. No, but it's an added expense that I don't think we can afford it.
Okay, George, you're talking expenses.
I think we got a good start on it.
Okay, payroll is something that, well, like I presented when we were doing the budget. Yeah. Just like when I do the last 2 highway contracts. Looked at the lowest, the highest, averaged them all out. Yeah. Okay. That'd be something. Yeah, we can look at that throughout the year, especially before the next budget.
Can I add 2 cents into that?
Yes, sir.
We're going to have a turnover in the future here with highway
MEOs.
employees.
Well,
And 2, 3 years down the road, 4 years, whatever. If you don't entice or keep it where you can entice people to come in, it's going to be tough. It's tougher every time we do go to hire.
I don't think George is talking about cutting
No, and
payroll.
I understand. I just want to throw my 2 cents in.
Okay.
You know, we don't have to have the gold standard of the town of
Ridgeway.
But you need to be able to, stay competitive, which I think we are right now. Maybe a little low, but I think we're.
We're better than the county, aren't we?
Oh, that's why the county has problems.
Okay. Okay, folks, so what could be another one out of all those we looked at? The fee schedule I still plan we're going to look at. That's only going to take like hopefully one workshop, and we'll have that fee schedule done. You laughing at? Well, yeah, we spent over a year, but we haven't even spent. We're going to get her done. You have to have the faith. I've got a, oh man, I got a folder that thick. Okay, but what's a second one? What's a second one we can put down? Okay. Well, those are really two different items. So let's put them down as 2 and 3.
Pay scale and competitiveness.
Competitive pay scales. How's that? And then the expenses. And definitely the town park. We got to squeeze Jason on that town park.
Yeah, we got money invested, so gotta do something with it. I'll give Jason a call. He's
Yeah.
gonna get a rough.
I'm sorry?
I can get Jason a call before the next meeting if he even has a rough on it. So at least we can batter that around.
When was your last park meeting?
Oh my God.
Exactly. Maybe it's time to have another one and sit down. Yeah, talk to Jason and see about getting another meeting coming on up. And I mean
Some
now,
ideas while it's winter is not the time to do it.
I mean, where are we with, like with the ball diamonds being used this year? And I know that our assessor there, Stephanie, is very involved with the girls' softball league, and they would love to come up and use our fields. So the whole idea, once again, we can start attracting teams in here. Maybe eventually go back to where we had some tournaments going on like we used to have back a few years ago. Pre-COVID, yeah. Well, it was even, yeah, I think like, I was ducking. She threw her pen at me. So yeah, it just an idea of what kind of plans have we got for this year, and that man sitting right there in front of you needs to be involved with that because it's his team that will be doing a lot of that insofar as getting things at least in shape. Okay. Well, there's our four items. Then there's nothing else you can think of, right? Okay, then. We got him. Margaret, yours with painting the town roads, I would say keep that in the back of your mind when we're looking at what George had there with number 2 and number 3. I'm sorry, with number 2, expenses. We'd have to get prices, see what it would cost and where it would fit in. Now, this year's town budget, it went up 2 cents per $1,000 assessed value, I think it was. No, on a $100,000 assessed property, 80,000. 80,000 went up like 2 cents. So we haven't moved at all, but our taxes have gone up, but if you take a look and you'll see at today's meeting with the assessor's report, what something is appraised at and what it's selling at, it's well over 100% more. And that's what's driving our tax rate right now is the cost of the property that's being sold or what's being bought. That's what's driving our taxes right now. It's not what we're charging, but it's what people are paying for properties right now.
Well, I'm gonna be clapping when we go through the percentage that we, use of the budget. Cause I thought we did 94%, 82 for the highway. Yeah, I'll be clapping for that.
We've been under
Yeah.
we've been under every year, less than what we have budgeted for. So, yeah, I'm very happy with that. That at least in the 6 years that I've run this budget, we have stayed under what we have budgeted, and I'm very pleased with that. And especially like you were saying with the highway, and that's with purchasing some new equipment. But he sold a bunch of equipment, had it auctioned off, and we got a good price on that stuff. So,
And the weather helps, but doing a good job.
did you hear that, Dale?
No, I wanna hear it again.
Okay. Well, that's about all I have for this meeting, this workshop. Yeah, let's get them out of the way. That would be excellent.
One of the things I look at is, when going through the bills is where we are last year, so I keep track of the vouchers, compare back month to month, whatever, to get a rough idea. The retirement system was, this year 57,430, and last year was 46,093.
What page is that at? Well, I don't have.
Don't know, that's the question I had is why. This is gonna be on you.
Oh, I happen to be on the right one.
Page 5. And the other one that I got from 1230 to 123 was pretty good.
What'd you say was for the retirement system? No.
Last year it was 46,983. This year it's 57,430. So there may be a simple, I think we got the same employees. I think everything is, but that's just. I gotta ask questions like that when I see a
We don't.
increase.
Pretty much that's all handled by LGSS. So that would be a question we would have to push over to them to find out what the story is. That was January 4th.
That's the retirement bill?
That's the retirement bill.
Retirement system. There might have been a large increase there.
Was there more people retired, or the same number?
I counted the same number.
Because obviously that would change that.
Right.
No, that's a good question because especially with the retirement system.
Hold on. Then up 11.
If I remember right, at least with the teacher retirement system, after 10 years, you have vested rights and the employer paid in for us anyways, but the employee didn't have to pay into it anymore, which maybe when they reach vested in the retirement system, maybe the employer has to pay more. I don't know. I'm just guessing. And you said it was 46, what?
46,983.
year?
That was last year. 4690, and this year 57,430.
One thing that you will notice is we are paying some huge bills. Kirk being new on the board, so you understand, but we pay a lot of stuff like their HSA up front right now. We pay 50% of their HSA account right now in January, which we approved in December. Today, we'll be approving for our bills 25%, which that payment goes for February, and then we pay another 25% of their HSA in March. And that way, then we've paid 100% in their HSA for them to use. We also, a lot of the insurances we pay up front in January, so we get hit with a lot of large bills in January.
But then they're done.
Then they're done. One of the bills that you will see, or you have seen in there, has to do with the payment we have to make to the fire district. Fire district says this is how much money we need. It's been approved, not by us. We have nothing to say about what they charge. We have it on our tax bills that we send out to everybody. We collect the money from the taxpayers, and then we have to pay the fire district for that money that they need for their budget. So you'll see that on your in your bills for today for approval, and that payment will be after Maureen gives me a check for the taxes she has collected, which is towards the end of the month. Otherwise, that's a big chunk of change that we couldn't really handle right now at the beginning of the year. You had another one, George?
A couple, yeah, for Dale. It's mainly just probably truck upkeep, but I didn't know if it was something we had to do with the repair on the truck 310 and 309 Buffalo Spring. Yeah, is that just
There was something that was in contention. Is the note in there with it? There's a note in there with it. The work was done back in August, September, and the same work was done the year before in 22, and they should have caught it. They should have caught it in 22, so we battled with them, and we're paying for the labor.
Okay.
Or the materials, I'm sorry.
Materials.
Yeah.
They're eating the labor then because it's already been done once.
And the labor was, as you know,
Astronomical.
way over what material. So I wanted to get that done before the end of December, but I couldn't get together with the manager and the owner.
So that's something that there was a breakdown, or that was kind of a repair and maintenance?
It was a breakdown. The U-bolts was cracked, and the U-bolts cracked because they didn't replace the torque arm bushing. So they should have caught it in 22. They should have replaced them in 22. They did not. Now they got some different management in there, and different management and different service techs. So
Again, good job being there, following through like that.
You and George, neither one of you came up on my mics here. You gotta get closer. Yes, please.
The last one I have no idea is just to educate me, the Upson Maybach break apart attack. Some of the game.
no, it's a fire hose nozzle, $700 some odd.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a 2-inch line on the other side of the building for washing trucks out. And that nozzle, you can't find them. They're expensive. You can find cheap ones. They're not going to last. That's why it's from Upson Maybach.
But that should last us now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like what the firemen use. And they drop on the ground. They don't break. Hopefully.
All right. And you just can't find them used. So
No.
that's it. Okay.
No.
All right. That was Lake Country Penny Saver for that $100. Can we just do a? I think a reader ad would have did just as well for $12. Don't you think? For what we got, for the response we got. But I mean, is that an option? Is that legal just to put in a reader ad? Town of Berry looking for a zoning officer.
I guess
Here's $12.
part of that $100 is also for it to be in the hub too. So, but yeah, that's. I don't know.
We've
I'm not
always done the
familiar with
program.
that. I'm sorry. Okay.
I don't know. Just trying again to save expenses. Basically. We get the same results, which in this case is. Why is it not?
Lee, did I address that okay with the retirement system?
I'm thinking you did. I went back in the AccuFund. Well, it went 2018, then 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24. None of the numbers are the same. They go lower, higher, all over the place.
Yeah, that's the state.
Yeah, and I mean, it's payroll. We don't handle payroll here, you know. LGSS
LGSS does.
handles
and
it. and-
LGSS does what the state.
Mhm.
The state dictates the amount.
And I've given them numbers to enter. So,
We'll just maybe reach out to them.
Yeah, we will.
yeah.
Okay. Is that it, George?
That was all mine.
Good. They'll make it nice and short with the come and the bills.
Sean, I've got one more.
Go ahead, sir.
question. Code enforcement officer.
Yeah.
Or
They've
where
got
we stand with it.
only one person put in a letter of interest in their resume by last Friday, the deadline. Another gentleman sent me his resume and letter of interest that I got on Monday. So we have two potentials there. And I was approached about a third person today, and I said, well, if he wants to, just so we have a couple of people we can talk to and interview. I said, if they want to, I'll take it even at this late date. I said, please get to me a letter of interest and a resume. One out of the three have been working as a CEO. The other two are just a couple of people that are interested. They haven't had any experience. One of those two did take the county civil service exam and is number 3 on the list. Now, the civil service exam is only if you are applying for a full-time position. We don't have to take from that list. But this gentleman is on that list, but he has never held a position as a CEO. He hasn't done any of the training or anything, but he did take the test. So that's where we're at right now.
So when will we be doing the interview?
That's a good question. That was something I was going to ask during the board meeting. I know you're going to be unavailable in 2 weeks, right?
Well, I'll be here for the next meeting, the workshop. It's something I could do online.
Yeah, but if you were here for the interviews, oh, what the heck? Well, let's talk about it right now. Save time from the board meeting. You like that idea, don't you, Bridget? Oops. Oh, come on, cooperate. There we go. Hey, you've got all next week. You're going to be around for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody else available in the next 2 weeks?
I won't be here the 23rd.
Okay, that's the last week. So we're gonna have to do something. 23rd is a Tuesday, so you'd be available that weekend.
Weekend before.
So first of all, you want to do it on a weeknight, or do you want to do it on a weekend, like a Saturday, like we've done a few others? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Saturday afternoon.
It'd be all right with me.
Yeah, let's look at the 20th. It gives us time to get some questions, bounce questions back and forth between us. Gives me time to contact the candidates. Yeah. So the 20th afternoon? Dave, you're quiet. I see the steam rising.
What time are you thinking?
What's time good for you? I'm wide open all day. Margaret, you heard, is tied up in the morning.
Yeah, morning's really good.
No, I can't be in the morning. I got appointments.
Okay, so definitely Saturday afternoon. Start the first one at 2. We need to get together like a half hour beforehand.
You gonna do it too?
Well, there's at least 3 right now. If I could run across another person, I'd love to have 4.
Yeah, I have no problem with taking late entries because we're so late at 4. If somebody else wants to volunteer, you know it's past the deadline.
That's why when I heard about this one gentleman this morning, I said, sure, why not? We'll talk to him. Let's see what we find out about them.
And then
And
the only difference I would say in that case is anybody that actually came in the time frame that was put out there, if there was 2 people with the exact same qualification, that I would give it to him. Because he made it.
Made the
or
effort.
her. Yeah.
we'd get together at
2?
2 o'clock for the interview. I was saying 1:30. We get together about a half hour beforehand. Here's the questions and everything and what we have to do. Does that sound okay? Or do you want to get together at 2 and start the interviews at 2:30?
2 works better for me. Just to be 2:30.
Okay. That sounds good to me. Don't know yet. Oh, wait a minute. That'd be a, well, you don't know. Don't know. See how Buffalo does this Sunday. Okay, interviews. 2 o'clock arrival for us here. 2:30 for the first interview. Stay every 45 minutes. Is that too much? Half hour for the interview, and we have a little talk about it after they leave before we interview the next one. How's that sound?
I'd say that's plenty of time. Probably 15 would be enough.
Well, you know, if the Bills are playing Saturday afternoon, it's going to be a 1 o'clock game.
Yeah.
Uh, 2:30. Okay, at this time, I just put down right now tentatively 2:30, 2:45. I'm sorry, 2:45.
But we're meeting
No.
at 2.
Getting here at 2:30 will start the first one.
Right.
Get here.
Then you're looking at 3:15.
Yep.
Ooh,
Yeah.
we're looking at 5.
You know, if you have a candidate that answers the question in 2 sentences versus someone who might, I mean, remember when we were looking for an assessor, we had the one gentleman that would, he gave us a whole dissertation on every question. It was. Okay. I'll get that set up. I will also get the information of each of the candidates out to everyone. We will also have to get some questions designed since we've never interviewed a CEO before. They should be pertinent to the position. Okay, it's like 2 minutes to 7 when the board meeting starts. Let's shut down the workshop for right now. One quick thing, think about it having to do with the CEO. We have one house that is under construction right now, and the contractor is all framed in, but he can't do the insulation until the property gets inspected. So, a question, just think about it. A per diem CEO, if I contact another town, see if I can steal the CEO for this inspection so they can proceed, and I don't know how much we would pay that person for an inspection. So I'd have to check that out as well. But think about it. I'll bring the question up again during the board meeting. Okay? Thank you.